meeting. Please arise and salute the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for joining us this evening. Before we go into approval of the minutes, I have a few announcements. We met on our last workshop meeting on August 2, at which time we went to executive session where we discussed matters involving litigation as well as property. A couple of other announcements. One, I think that most of us, if not all of us, have heard about the recent ruling concerning the Pennsylvania voter ID law and how that was upheld. However we feel about that law, whether we agree with it or we disagree with it, I think that good information is useful to have. I have asked Mr. Smith, our manager, to put on our website, on the front page of the website, a link to information about the Pennsylvania voter ID law, what type of identification is accepted, and where you can go if you do need identification. Mr. Smith, is that up yet?
Should be tomorrow.
Okay, it'll be up there tomorrow. So if you have any interest, please check tomorrow. There will be a link on the front page of the Borough website. Second, here we are, middle of August, and we're just a couple of weeks away from kids going back to school, believe it or not. Some of you will greet that with a smile, some of you perhaps not so much of a smile. But I did speak with the Rose Tree Media School District Superintendent today, Jim Weigel. There is a special interest this year for media because, as many of us know, there is going to be a different place where our grade school kids are going this year. We're not going to Media Elementary, we're going to the Nativity PBM building. Mr. Weigel asked that I give some information about that. If you are a parent and of a grade school kid and you have not yet received a packet from the school, it should be at your doorstep by Monday. If you do not have it by Monday, please call the school district. That packet will include the usual information such as your child's teacher's name, the room to which to report, school supplies, all that good stuff. But it also will have information about the school bus and where your child can pick up the school bus. The school district is making a point of making buses available to every child who attends Media Elementary School, and that information will be part of the packet. So be on the lookout for that. Also, Mr. Weigel asked me, Superintendent Weigel asked me to announce that there will be an open house at the Nativity BBM school. It has yet to be determined. Their utilities still need to be hooked up at the building, and until they are hooked up, the house ain't open. It will be open soon, and when it is, the information will go out by the phone tree. So be on the lookout or on the ear out for that. That information should be coming. I understand from Superintendent Weigel that the building looks great and everyone's pleased. This is just a way of getting everybody comfortable with the new building. Lastly, on that matter, Superintendent Weigel asked me to convey thank you to the Borough administrative staff as well as the professional staff. This transition from one school building to another school building, he said, has gone about as smoothly as it possibly could. And the reason for that is because both the school district as well as the borough have as their primary interest the best interest of students. So he asked me to pass along that thanks to all of the borough staff, whether administrative or professional. So thank you very much. Last announcement, maybe this is because we have a light legislative agenda, I need to fill it up. Last announcement, I'd like to wish a happy 99th birthday to my neighbor, May Steinmetz. She lives in the 100 North Block, Mont Street. she has lived every single year of her life in the Borough media. I was thinking about that earlier today. At the time of her birth, at the time she was born, if my math is correct, in 1913, our president was Woodrow Wilson. We had yet to fight the war to end all wars. And since then, we've had a number of wars that have put a line to that. Women didn't have a right to vote. That came in 1919 with the amendment. And it caused me to reflect upon something about media. We call ourselves everybody's hometown, and I think that there's a lot of wisdom in that slogan. that we're a town that has a great deal of tolerance, a great deal of diversity, and that's not just in terms of gender, complexion of your skin, your preferences, but it also has a lot to do with social, economic diversity, as well as age diversity. I think it's wonderful that in media we have someone who's 99 years old, who lives independently, and is sharp as a tack. So, congratulations, May, and congratulations to us as a community for having those values, that persons at that age can live here and live well and be productive members. Those announcements out of the way. Let's get to the approval of the minutes. We have two sets of minutes subject to approval. One is for our workshop meeting of July 5, 2012. Would I hear a motion to approve those minute meetings? Been approved. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. The second set of meeting minutes is for the July 19, 2012 council meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve those meeting minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Will the mover accept a motion to amend the meeting minutes for this purpose? On the second page under the engineer's report, there is discussion with Engineer Johnston about the CMAC project. The engineer was asked who managed that project, and he responded PennDOT. And I asked the engineer whether or not PennDOT is who determines the pace at which the project is being done. I think that your answer, Mr. Engineer, was that was in the affirmative. Am I correct?
Correct.
And I think that it's appropriate for the meeting minutes to reflect that bit of information, that the pace of the project is determined solely by PennDOT. Will the maker of the motion accept that amendment?
So moved.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say aye. The motion passes. All right, so now we get to the moment that many of you are waiting for, public comment and privilege of the floor. Anyone wish to come forward and speak at this time? If so, please identify yourself by name and address.
Linda Healy, 119 West 7th Street. I'm here with the Friends of Glen Providence Park to express our shared vision and priorities for the 3rd Street project. We understand that the project has taken a great deal of your time and decisions are being made quickly. Our hope tonight is to remind you that our town has, in fact, a vision. This vision includes ensuring public safety, minimizing the environmental impact, and enhancing community enjoyment. This vision has been expressed by council members from both political parties, by various stakeholders, and in surveys of public opinion. This vision is shared by families and dog walkers and school classes who travel across 3rd Street and into the park. The choices made by council regarding media's roadway, these decisions are not the swim clubs and they're not the county's, will impact our community and park use for generations. Robin Lazarson is here to discuss how this shared vision might be turned into action.
Robin Lasserson, 342 West 4th Street.
Ms. Latterson, if you just turn it up a little bit farther, otherwise we're going to struggle to hear you. And we do want to hear you.
Yeah. Terry's passing out a handout that summarizes 5 key elements that Friends of Glen Providence Park thinks need to be prioritized in the design of the project going forward, especially in light of the June vote to replace the dam and open the road. And the first one is that we strongly advocate that it be designed to include only one automotive vehicle lane. And it's our understanding that the council was moving in that direction at the July workshop meeting. We fully endorsed that, primarily because environmental protection seems to be a shared priority. Even Pete Aliankian said almost a year ago that that was one of the primary goals of the project. And we know that the narrower the structure is, the less damage will be done to that end of the park. And so we feel it's in compliance with the legal stipulation to limit it to one vehicle lane. The second element is, again, echoes where the discussions seem to be headed back in at that July workshop meeting, that if it's one lane, it should be one way for regular automotive traffic west from Upper Providence into Media, we would advocate that for emergency vehicles, it be open both ways just for public safety. The third element is we think it's imperative from the beginning that integrated into the design in a permanent fashion be a borough-controlled traffic control mechanism. There's several different ways that we could go about doing this, and we're illustrating here. The purpose of that would be to have the freedom to open the roadway to regular automotive traffic when the council chooses to, or sometimes to close it and devote that 3rd Street Parkway really to solely recreational purposes, which has also been expressed as a desire by the community and by some members of council. And since Friends of Glen Providence Park advocated from the beginning, starting about a year ago, that it be solely for pedestrian and bicycle use, we think a good compromise would be to install traffic control devices, such as the bollards that are depicted here. We've learned that there's such a thing as retractable bollards, these poles that can telescope and go into the ground and be flush with the pavement, so cars could just zoom at a slow pace right through there, or be a visual symbol that, okay, now it's a parkway for pedestrians and cyclists. An alternative would be an electronically controlled gate. We've showed several designs, and we've literally looked at hundreds of traffic control gates and think that this is a very affordable and attractive option for the project. The fourth element is, of course, an attractive pedestrian pathway. We know that if and when the road is open to regular automotive traffic, there'll need to be a separate pathway for pedestrians that is designed with pedestrians in mind, safely and attractively separated from the roadway, perhaps with amenities like a bench or a lookout or some of the other pleasing elements that have been tossed around in some of your discussions. And the fifth element has to do with aesthetics. And from the very beginning, when people saw the original PennDOT engineering design, people were concerned with the look of it. And as great fans of the Works Progress Administration historic structures of the park and that historic and feeling like that's very valuable, we have a really fantastic opportunity to echo that look in the design of the 3rd Street Dam and Bridge. And our suggestion is that we select materials that would complement that look, and perhaps even to reuse salvage materials from the local area. We understand that there's a financial consideration there, that PennDOT has said they're not paying for extra amenities, but it's our belief that there are other resources available to do that, and given the importance of the project, that investment into some aesthetic improvements would be advisable. These are our basic principles. We want to let you know that Friends of Glen Providence Park has been working with a landscape architect. We're in the stage of polishing a much more detailed design that includes visual renderings of the project from different perspectives that are based on these elements, but also include a great deal of other details that really we would like to raise before you and the community as ideas, as a proposal, as a starting point for dialogue. And it's our intention to unveil that design at the September workshop meeting.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to come forward? Mr. Rumsey.
Excuse me.
Gary Rumsey, 342 West 4th Street in the Borough.
One moment. Terry.
We just wanted to say that we believe that public opinion has supported these principles that Robin just articulated really over the last 10 months. Beginning last October, when over 526 residents of Media, we presented a petition that they had signed calling for a pedestrian bicycle-only greenway. Also, 310 people from communities surrounding Media supported that principle with the idea that there be access for emergency automobile traffic. Also, at the town meeting that was sponsored by the Council's sponsored Community Action Committee, a majority of Media residents, over 62%, expressed their support in the small group discussions that were held that night for pedestrian and bicycle-only traffic. So during that process, the people of media who participated clearly favored that alternative. Through the CAC survey that was distributed through the mail, through the U.S. Postal Service, 651 residents responded, about 17.6% of all the households, and that represents really the most extensive collection of public opinion data on any issue that this town has ever had. And the clear favored preference through that survey was for the dam removal and pedestrian bicycle only traffic, again specifying that there be emergency vehicle access. That was by far and away the most popular option. Also in that survey, a total of 356 media residents expressed disapproval of allowing automobile traffic that other than non-emergency vehicles over 3rd Street, and 336 did that they approved it, but a majority of people who were surveyed said that they did not want automobile traffic at all at 3rd Street. And then at the special meeting on May the 10th, that this council called for 25 media residents presented at this microphone that night. Over 80% called for pedestrian bicycle only traffic with emergency vehicle access. So we think that the people of media have consistently, as a majority, expressed the most minimal environmental damage to Glen Providence Park, restricting automobile traffic, emphasizing and prioritizing pedestrian and bicycle traffic, and ensuring access for emergency automobile vehicles. The principles that the Friends of Glen Providence Park are articulating are in line with what we think the people of media have consistently expressed. So thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to come forward at this time? Please.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Is that good?
We can hear you.
My name is Denise Yako, and I'm from Seven Stones, and I'm here tonight to make a comment about the last 2 events of the Summer of Peace concert series that has been held in conjunction with the Media Business Authority. September 4th will be the 4th and last of the First Friday concert speaker series, starting at 7 p.m. They're held in the Plum Street Mall. Certainly all are invited. They're free to attend. Summer of Peace 2012 Media will culminate on September 21st, and this will be a big event. It's the United Nations International Day of Peace. And the activities for this event will begin at 5:30 p.m. again in the courtyard with a yoga meditation. There'll be storytelling. There'll be a troupe of Tibetan dancers and 5 different musical performances. Also, and most importantly, and at 12 noon on that day, September 21st, a minute of silence will be observed globally, and for peace. And it is really my heart-held vision and hope that as a community along State Street and throughout the town, that we would be able to join hands and be a part of that. There will be more information forthcoming about how we can coordinate this event. It would be really my hope that perhaps council could maybe post this on their website, or we could somehow use TV slots for this. There should be some dialogue around it, of course. But basically that's why I'm here. I wanted to make this public announcement. I've loved the series. I love what I'm involved in, and going forward, I don't know what Summer of Peace will become, but I plan to do something here in the community. So I would like to thank the MBA for their support in this whole endeavor, Mayor McMahon for his contribution, his participation in the opening event, the first event, and I'd like to thank Council too for giving me this opportunity for this announcement. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Yako. Well, I'll ask the question. Does anyone here on council have, I think a request was informally made to put that information up, that announcement on the borough website. Anyone have any difficulties with that?
I think it's a great idea. You know, we are a mini United Nations here in media. I think it's a real appropriate thing to talk about. And perhaps Technology Committee would also do it on our TV channel.
It's my 99-year-old neighbor who's probably going to hate me for saying that, would say it was a League of Nations first. But if you get the information to Mr. Smith, he'll be able to post it on the borough website. So, Ms. Yako, if you can do that, you'll find him on the website, and he'll make sure that that information gets up there. Okay? Yes?
Excuse me. Dylan Atkins, 485 Kirk Lane, for those of you who don't know me and aren't tired of me yet. I would like to make an announcement that the Friends of Glen Providence Park will sponsor an on-site dam safety workshop at Broomall's Lake Dam at West 3rd Street this coming Monday, August 20th at 4:30. Rich Ressinger from the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection and Dam Safety will give a presentation on the operation of the dam, responsibility of dam owners, and safety concerns regarding the Broomall's Lake Dam. We invite members of Borough Council and members of the community to attend. The workshop will be held rain or shine. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Atkins. Anyone else wish to come forward at this time?
Hello, I'm Ira Josephs. I'm not a member of media, but I'm an active member of the America's First Fair Trade Town Committee, and I'm representing the committee and also the businesses west of Orange Street. That we have
only because Joanne will kill me if I don't ask you this. Your address, please.
10 Apple Bow Lane, Rose Valley, 19063.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm also representing the businesses west of Orange Street, and we have a mass gathering permit that I think you're going to be voting on tonight, where we're asking for Orange Street to be closed, and we have 3 businesses down there committed to participate in Fair Trade Live event on May 5th, but it's contingent on the State Street getting extended, the closure of State Street extending down past their businesses, which so I'm just advocating for that. And I know that it's been an issue back and forth with I think the Food Fest goes down that far, and there's been some other events that have tried. It's been extended down that far, and also, but I think it's a matter of if it's a matter of pedestrian safety. I've never heard an exact explanation of why. I know you have to make a permit or you have to make a request to PennDOT because it's a state road; they have to close it. But it seems to me it'd be safer when people are walking down State Street going west and they come to Orange Street. If Orange Street is not closed off and they're whatever they're doing, like for the Super Sunday or whatever, they're looking at tables, they're having fun, they've got their kids, they're in a zone, and all of a sudden, and if they're parked, west of Orange Street, then they all of a sudden have to walk across Orange Street. If there's traffic going through there, they're gonna all of a sudden they have to like wake up and start paying attention, whereas they've been going down this closed street, So it seems to me if it's closed, if Orange Street is closed, it extends past there, and then they get down to the middle of that block, between Orange and Lemon, and then all of a sudden they have to go find their car. It's very quiet down there, and it seems to me it's a lot safer. So I just want to express that.
You hit the nail on the head. The Orange Street is not a borough road, so the only one that can provide the applicant is PennDOT.
Right.
So that is something that we will be glad to work with you on the mass gathering permit. We have no issue. We do not have the authority to close down a state highway. Only PennDOT does.
Great. So it's just a matter of you applying to PennDOT to ask them to close it.
I would have to.
And you're okay with that?
So we would make that application to PennDOT. Thank you. Yes, we make that application, but we cannot guarantee it.
Right.
We've even had conversation that maybe we need to take a look at how that intersection would or could be handled in the future, i.e. having, professionally, either having to have the applicant that is asking for the mass gathering take care of the cost of either a police officer and or fire, police, somewhat of a professional nature to be at that intersection. I agree with you, it's easier for the event itself to be closed down, but I would also ask that you take a step back and consider the people that is a significant thoroughfare to get through. And as some of our events in the town are getting more and more popular, it's actually becoming more and more difficult for our resident base to get from Baltimore Pike to their homes. So I think we need to look at this as we do in everything in the borough is, how do we try to work and make everyone at least somewhat happy?
Okay.
And I think that's something we'll be looking at, down the road. But for right now, yes, we will be applying through to PennDOT, and hopefully the day will grant that opportunity.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Joseph, I understand that this mass gathering application is coming up tonight.
Right.
And since you're here, is there anybody else here for that? I think we'll take our agenda a little bit out of order tonight, and we'll allow Councilman Robinson to go first, so that you can see how it is basking in the light first off as opposed to last. And we'll address it at that time, because I think there are some questions that we have about the application, and rather than keeping you here until the end of it, we'll take care of it right after we get through the reports of the engineer and the solicitor.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Paul Indorf, 339 West 4th Street, and Friends of 4th Street Dam. I noticed the front of the town talk this week about how you've been taking up the 3rd Street Dam matter, and has considerable concerns about the process that's being used. I have no qualms or thoughts on what should happen other than it be well designed. But my concern is that in the beginning of the year, and as one neighbor expressed to me, he said it seemed like we were going down one path here, and then something happened. In the beginning of the year, for the first few months, we had the CIC, and they worked every week for 3 hours in session, and also took home homework, did research, did other things, had the public gathering, surveys, just a ton of work. Came up with a report and presented it on March 31st. After that, the Borough Council took up the matter in closed sessions in terms of issuing a letter to PennDOT with intent. In closed session as a property matter, I guess. Also looking into things like bridge cost, I guess, and that sort of thing then. And now it's come around to Borough Council only takes this up for a half hour, or maybe an hour, once a month. And my concern is, I guess twofold. I'm wondering how we can expect to make progress on the project while devoting only that small amount of collective energy to it. And secondly, I wonder if we're asking the right questions in terms of looking for some kind of a creative solution that accommodates, not everyone's, but a wide variety of thoughts, concerns, desires for the project. And what I'm talking about there is very similar to we've had various committees or commissions for zoning and that sort of thing. It would seem appropriate that in a project this major, this complex, that Borough Council perhaps throw this out to somebody of their choosing to answer to some of the concerns and desires that you've been expressing in the workshop, to find answers to how we can get there. The article in the Town Talks, was quoted, one of you is saying, we're going backwards at this point instead of forwards. Well, one of the major concerns is that we move forward in a timely way, funding-wise, getting this done. So I guess the question would be, what has been accomplished during this time since, I guess, the CAC report was delivered on March 31st? One thing was the PennDOT letter, and now it's August.
So are you asking a question?
What's been accomplished on the dam project over these last several months beyond the letter of intent to PennDOT? Last month's council meeting, there were 2 words about 3rd Street Dam, and that was no report. And I don't see it on the agenda tonight. I don't know if there's going to be a report. Now, part of the concern there is that the community just isn't aware of what's going on about this.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Adorf, I don't mean to cut you off. I didn't realize that there was a question there. But we have been meeting openly in public the first Tuesday of every month, top of our workshop meeting, 7 o'clock here. Anybody is welcome to come. Anyone is welcome to add their voice to the discussion and to hear what we have to say. I can assure you that we have spent a considerable amount of time. I think that there's some would say that we probably spent more time than need be debating this. But I can assure you that we have been working hard on this. It's my expectation that we will have, my expectation, I'm not guaranteeing anything, but it's my expectation that we will have information sufficient to go to the design professionals this September. So let's wait and let's see what happens at the next workshop meeting.
Mm-hmm. What design professionals have we been considering?
We have the Schnabel firm and the Garrison firm.
Sure. Oh, okay. I think a sensible thing to do, which was recommended in the CAC report, is to retain a landscape architecture firm. And a firm like that can...
And I believe we have discussed that, and we have reached an agreement that that is something that we wish to do.
Great. One other concern, I have wondered, I noticed some time ago for the dam, the emergency action plan had been reworked by the borough's dam attorney, and it was just to keep up on that. Had that been done, and had the swim club signed on to that?
So I do not know as of today whether or not there is any signature on that. I don't think that it's something that we discuss substantively in public.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we'll see how that one works out. My last concern was for the immediate maintenance of the damaged dam areas. This is not going to break ground in the spring. Probably looking, my understanding is in 2015. So we need to get a couple more good years out of that dam, which is still in its eroding state. And we got that report from Schnabel this year, and we got recommendations from the DEP, which told all parties to do things to cure some of the problems that were turned up and the concerns about the water main. So I was wondering how we're proceeding on that and how we might proceed from Monday's meeting where Mr. Riesinger is the dam safety guy for PennDOT. How are we going to proceed with those recommendations?
Our engineer has been in contact and discussions with proper parties, and we have discussed it among ourselves. I don't think that this is the form in which we should be discussing that at this time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to come forward and speak to council? Okay, let's move then to the engineer's report. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you and good evening. I'll try to make this short. Bids were sent and received, and the low bidder was Joseph D. Suker. Yesterday we did receive bonds and insurance. I'm in the process of placing them together, and I will be shortly transmitting them to the borough solicitor for his review. A little bit of CMAQ, congestion management, air quality, which everybody, I think, realizes is the traffic signals that have been installed along Baltimore Avenue and Providence Road. At this time, Miller Brothers has received the punch list from Media Borough through and via PennDOT. Right now, it's our understanding that Miller Brothers is waiting on another Providence before addressing some of the items or all of the items on the punch list. Another item in there is a fiber interconnection, which will interconnect all the traffic signals that have been installed for this project. Everything is installed in the borough hall and facility. PennDOT still needs to install some of the fiber cable and hook the fiber cable up to the traffic signals. So we are waiting on PennDOT to complete a portion of their project. Last but not least, there is ADA ramps throughout the borough. There are contractors in the process of going through them, going through the punch list, and we expect to hear back from the contractor. I should say, PennDOT expects to hear back from the contractor about what they're going to do with the list to try to correct what was put on the list. We did a few land development reviews, and the last thing on here is the North Olive Street project. We have completed all our meetings, cost and sizing with the pipe suppliers. We're in the process right now of finalizing everything, and I expect to be able to present to the Borough Council plans and specifications for bid.
Excellent. It's been a while in coming, but we understand that there are some practicalities that need to be dealt with. Anything else?
No, is there any
questions for our engineer? Not hearing any call for questions. Mr. Scott, Solicitor's Report.
Thank you. I do not have one tonight.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Brian. I had a little bit longer public safety report because of some actions that have happened since our last regular council session, and then I have 4 points to make after that. So it won't be long, but public safety will be a little longer than usual. In July, we had a total of 789 complaints. There were no burglaries during the month of July. However, we did have what is considered an attempt on Saturday, July 21st at approximately 11:30 when a resident in the 500 block of North Lemon called police as a result of hearing a noise and seeing someone outside the resident's window. The homeowner banged on the window and called 911. Officers from immediate Upper Providence responded immediately and did an extensive search, but were unable to find anything out of place. During the month of July, there were 23 traffic details throughout the borough. I am going to read an email that's dated July 31st that was sent to Nether Providence and Upper Providence residents, but it's right across the street from Media Borough, so I think everyone should listen to the email that was sent from the chief. In recent weeks, Nether Providence and Upper Providence Township Police Departments have experienced, and again, this is as of July 31st, so there hasn't been anything since, but have experienced a rash of residential burglaries. A number of these have occurred near the media border in the Bowling Green sections of 2 townships. Our department is working closely with township police departments in the sharing of information and investigation of the same. With this in mind, the 3 departments have agreed to hand-bill the residents of Bowling Green area with a flyer informing residents of the recent events and asking them to call 911 immediately for any suspicious circumstance. Thus far, we have not experienced any reported burglaries in the borough. The only thing close was what I just read. All right, on top of that, I'm going to read what was sent to residents of Bowling Green. Residents are being made aware of recent nighttime and early morning residential burglaries in the Bowling Green area and surrounding areas. Entry is through an unlocked door or window. The storm door is usually found propped open for a quick exit if the intruder is discovered. Once inside, the actor removes laptops, iPads, and other valuables. Your police department, and again, this is from Upper Providence, your police department has increased patrols in the area. You can assist police by reporting anything suspicious by calling 911 immediately. If you have residential alarm system, have it maintained and in use at all times. Leave exterior lights on, lock all doors and windows, place valuables out of sight. The chief has emphasized to us over and over again, we don't have the dispatchers anymore. Feel free to call 911. People are hesitant to pick up the phone for what they consider to be slight or something out of order or whatever. The police want you to do this. So you see something suspicious, pick up the phone and call. So that's public safety. Now I'm going to report, let's see, first on the post office situation. The post office this week has had increasing lines. I went in there Tuesday afternoon, and one of the post office employees said that in the last 2 days they had had approximately 28 complaints about postal deliveries and lines at the post office. There are rumors going around that Media Post Office may be closed. I talked to the district representative, and there are no plans whatsoever to close Media Post Office. We are one of their top post offices in terms of traffic, etc. But the combination of The reason for the complaints culminate from a combination of trying to streamline the various post offices with the cuts that they have, along with vacation season. So I was in the post office again yesterday, and there was a line 5 or 6 long. I went in to give my card to the lady that had told me this, and she was busy, but someone wasn't. So I gave my card, and I said, you know, I've been in touch with the district representative. In the meantime, the district representative and others have had a conference call with the postmaster in media to try to get these problems resolved. And I think it's going to be a little bit better than it has been. You're seeing more times with 1 or 2 people at the window instead of 2 and 3, again, because of this streamlining. So that is on the post office. Second thing I think I'll cover is dining under the stars last night. Zubair had a number of challenges with the thunderstorms that were approaching and looking like they were coming this way around 4 to 4:15. And the discussions were, do we open, do we close? And Zubair found out that there were some that wanted to open and some that didn't. So those that wanted to open, opened, and those that didn't. But as it cleared up and everything went away, those that didn't suddenly did. So everybody was open last night. It was a big night, very successful, but the thunderstorms looked like there were more coming back. So when I ran into him, he was not a very happy person. And we thought, how do you solve this? And I don't think there is a way. I mean, we'll keep looking for a way, but you know, they hire a lot of help during the day to come to Dining Under the Stars. And if there's going to be a thunderstorm, they think, well, it's going to close and we'll send them home. So it is a little bit of a dilemma. So you're caught in the middle of it, Zubair, I know. So, and it was well handled last night, I thought. Today in America, the show, the Terry Bradshaw show, Monica and I are working with a team that includes the county, the MBA, and the school district, and everybody is doing their work, putting together their own presentations, and how we're collectively all going to put these in to the script writers. So hopefully in the next couple days, we take this wealth of information we have and submit it, and they'll be here in September at some point, date unnamed right now. Next Tuesday morning at 10:30, Lisa Raymond will be in media. Lisa is had recently received a bronze medal, and she just moved to the area. She received a bronze medal at the Olympics, mixed doubles, and she won Wimbledon mixed doubles this past year. She's probably one of the most famous people that people never heard of. She's won $9 million on the tour. She will be here at the Rec Commission Tennis Clinic on Tuesday morning, as again she's now a local resident, and then she'll be off to New York for, I believe, the Open. So she'll be here. There's a clinic. We'll have somewhere around 30 students down at Borough Field Tuesday morning. Expect some TV cameras to be there. It might be another segment we can use. We'll see. And Dawn, we're trying to work with the Rec Commission, I guess, on this to make sure it's a nice day. So if you want to come out and say hello to Lisa, she'll be here. Only in town for one day, so we chose that day. And I will add that it is supposed to be 82 and sunny on Tuesday as of right now.
And if it's not, do you blame Zubair?
Why not? And Zubair, you're putting together a little packet for her.
Yes, the MBA is putting together a basket of goodies for T-shirts and mugs and stuff like that.
Medium.
Medium size, yes. So keep that in mind. Thank you.
All right, well, exciting news. That's the end of the mayor's report. Does anyone have any questions for the mayor?
Just, Mayor, do you know what time the clinic is, and she'll be there?
The clinic, they have 2 clinics. One will be 9:30 to 10:30, and the other will be 10:30 to 11. She's going to come right in the middle of it so that she catches I guess, 15 or so students from each of the 2. So she plans on showing up at 10:15. We set the press conference, so to speak, for 10:30, and she says she'll be leaving at 10:45, but I hear she's going to sign stuff. Oh, she's bringing the trophy and the medal with her. So.
And what is the location?
The tennis courts at Borough.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the mayor? Not hearing any. Let us move to the council committee report, and we'll do this in reverse. Reverse of the usual order. We'll go from my left to right, or from your right to left, as for you folks viewing at home. And so that means that we'll start with Councilman Robinson, Public Safety, Public Works, Infrastructure, Fire, and 3rd Street project.
And Mr. President, I would like to defer to you. I was not at the workshop meeting. I was not aware that there was any concerns or questions regarding the mass gathering permit, or did I misinterpret your statement earlier?
Sure. Vice President Simpson, I think, can handle that.
As liaison to fair trade, one of the, first of all, I'd like to comment that this is probably the most clearly written and detailed application I've ever seen. So I thank you for that. The one thing that came up that was a question of flexibility, the setup time, this is for Sunday, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo of 2013. The setup time requested is 7 a.m. and would like to ask if the applicant would modify that to an 8 a.m. setup start due to the fact that that additional space to the end of the trolley lines west of Orange Street also is directly where the church has their early morning services. And if we could delay by an hour, would that impact the event?
The only area it would impact would be setting up Center Stage.
Which is Veterans Square?
Right, they need 2 hours to set up Center Stage.
Oh, I'm sorry, could you come up to the mic?
Okay.
Introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Evan Joseph from Mendoza Group. Would you like to see my address? 6 Nicole Drive, Media.
There we go.
So the only area, this, am I? Okay.
Much better.
So the only area that we had concerns about starting later in 2008 was Veterans Square. I remember the stage crew needed time to set up lighting, set up the electric, and it's just the center stage area. If everything else started later and set up, we would be okay with that, with the crew setting up the booths, but that would be my only concern. It's just that Veterans Square area.
The main stage area there.
Right. We have 2 stages going up, but it's that main stage that takes so long.
I have one other concern. That is the extent west of the application. It goes all the way to Lemon Street, as I understand.
Yes.
Which is directly out front of the church.
Well, we should have said end of trolley line.
Yes.
End of trolley line.
End of trolley line.
I think I was being too specific, but it is end of trolley line.
It's kind of hard to represent that on this form, I admit that.
So I think that's where we would put stage 2. That's where we put it last, in 2008, is right at the end of the trolley line.
Okay.
And that allows for the cars going in and out of the church there to use the parking lot because it's not blocking the line.
Exactly, exactly.
Correct.
Thank you.
That's the only question I have. Mr.
Yeah, the only request I would have is if we could just modify that just a little bit, just to allow us a little earlier setup on Veterans Square. That
So
would
if
be
your
nice.
setup at 7 is only, it starts at that location.
We would have to start in the street, we could start at 8 o'clock with the rest of State Street, but it's that Veterans Square that takes the longest. I remember that the stage company needed that earlier. They asked us for 6 a.m. I was being nice.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
I'll let Mr.
So we
Rowland
just do
do-
7 o'clock for the main stage and
8
8
o'clock
o'clock for the balance of the
Yeah.
event.
Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for considering.
And I'll go out of order a little bit and go right to the item number 4, and make a motion that we approve the mass gathering permit for the American Trade Town Committee, which will be held now, May 5th, 2013. These mass gathering permits are being applied for further and further in advance, with a change in the application to reflect the following. A 7 o'clock start setup for the main stage to be located at Veterans Square. 8 o'clock start setup for the balance of the application. And I would make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Excuse
With the additional information that the west end of that is going to be.
When I look at this myself, I actually interpreted that as the trolley line, so I will.
We're talking about the closing on Orange Street, wouldn't it have to be pending the approval of PennDOT?
No, we have no control of that.
I know, but I mean, can we,
Sure, I'll amend the motion again to reflect that if PennDOT allows us to close Orange Street.
Well, and essentially, if you could just authorize the borough staff to submit that to PennDOT, that would be very helpful.
So moved, Mr. Manager.
There is a highly articulated motion. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion on the motion? I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the mass gathering permit for the Fair Trade Live concert as amended and amended and amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, aye, aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes.
Okay, I'll start with my report once again. As I do each month, I will reference that the Media Fire Company is always looking for volunteers to either serve on the administrative side and or the firefighting side and EMS side. It is an all-volunteer group, so any assistance would be greatly appreciated. In the month of July, our fire company had 29 responses ranging anywhere from, of course, media out as far as Concordville. Our EMS department for the month of July serviced 141 calls for the day and 62 at night. Media comes in at 35% of the calls, and since we have Councilman Clinton here tonight, I'll be glad to reference that media serviced Upper Providence Township in the month of July with 64 calls. We're out there all the time, so anybody that would want to volunteer can. You do not have to be a Media Borough resident. You can be anyone who is in the area that would want to service our EMS and or fire company. Next on the agenda is Ordinance 1098 of 2012. It is an amendment that will, or excuse me, an ordinance amending our peddling and soliciting ordinance. I will not bore you with the entire ordinance, but in essence, it says, whereas the borough now desires to establish regulations to balance the desire to allow safe and legal solicitation within the borough with the need to protect the health and safety of its residents. That is the core of the ordinance, and with that, I'd make a motion to approve Ordinance 1098 of 2012.
Is there a second? There is a second. Any discussion on the motion? Not hearing any call for discussion. All those in favor of approving ordinance number 1098, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is Resolution 2012-9. It's an application for county aid. Now therefore be resolved that the Council of the Borough Media hereby make application to the Council of Delaware County for the allocation of county liquid fuel funds in the amount of $25,000 to be used for milling and resurfacing of various borough roads. Make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
The motion has been seconded. Any discussion on the motion? I will call the question. All those in favor of approving resolution number 2012-09, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes.
Last on my agenda, and this one won't be as complicated, is the mass gathering permit for the Community Arts Fair that will be held Saturday, September 22nd. State Street to extend west of Orange Street, so we will ask our borough staff to submit an application to PennDOT for the closure of Orange Street. With that, I make that a motion, or make that in the form of a motion.
Second. Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
what is the setup time for that event?
They have 6 o'clock as well, but it's also a Saturday, so which I will amend my motion to reflect 7 o'clock. Thank you for looking over my shoulder. You're just like my wife.
I do have a question. Is it typically that the setup time? The reason I asked was because under the borough noise ordinance, construction work or work is not to start in the borough on Saturdays before 8 a.m. And unless there's a really good reason why it is that the startup ought to be at 7 a.m., I think we would be consistent with the noise ordinance that we permit set up and start at 8 a.m. 8 a.m.
I have no issue with that.
Well, did we ask our executive director of the NBA, the
Yes.
protocol, that they have been following, or, I'm sorry, Kevin, I didn't see you back there.
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Kevin Schramm, the president of the NBA. I think that would be fine. I think that most of the setup is just going to be tables for the artists who are going to be on display, so it shouldn't be a very laborious setup. I think there's going to be some coordination because there will be, tables kind of throughout the State Street area, but I don't see any issue with abiding by the noise ordinance. So if that's agreeable to council, that's agreeable to us.
Okay, good. I mean, we are mindful that there are many residents who live on State Street on the second floor, and I imagine that they like to sleep a little late on Saturdays too. All right.
I mean, in this case, I have no issue with amending to reflect 8 o'clock, but I do believe that it's something we're going to look at item by item because there are many events that start at a time with the 2-hour window to set up is without a doubt not enough time. So I don't know if we're going to set a precedence here by saying following our work. I mean, I thought our code was 7 o'clock.
It's 7 o'clock on weekdays, 8 o'clock on Saturday.
Excuse me, I have a question. Do we have any, maybe this is for Mr. Smith, or do we have specific guidelines for our mass gathering permits, and do they designate a start or end time?
I'll look to the solicitor, but I believe the noise ordinance is actually what would dictate the starting and ending times. I don't recall anything in the mass gathering ordinance that requires a specific time frame.
I'm just wondering if our applications are somehow, suggesting this. So they're discretionary. We're not making any prescription. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I guess for purposes of this application, the applicant is willing to start at 8 o'clock, so it's a discussion we can have another day.
The application's been amended to reflect 8 o'clock.
All right. Motion's been made, seconded, and amended. Any discussion on the motion? All right, then I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the mass gathering permit application for the Community Arts Center's 19th Annual Fine Crafts and Arts and Crafts Festival for September 22, 2012, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes.
That concludes my report.
Any questions for Councilman Robinson at this time? We'll move on to Health and Historic. Councilwoman Borough.
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, I have nothing for any action, and I do not have any information to forward on to the public, as a lot of my organizations take a sabbatical over the summer, or they meet quarterly. So, that ends my report.
Any questions for Councilwoman Hart? All right, we'll move on to Technology, Community Business Authority, and Environmental Advisory Council. Councilman Stein.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Apologize for that. Unkind.
Okay, I do have a couple of items here. The first one is we have an appointment to, I guess, ratify. Brian Messick has made an application to the MBA to be a member of the Media Business Authority Board of Directors. I'll just simply read the letter. I currently work for the Franklin Mint, located on the corner of State and Olive Street Media. I'm an assistant vice president for the credit union and have worked on multiple committees for the MBA. The last 3 years I've sat on the promotions committee and worked on the holiday committee for the last 6 years. I helped organize and host the MBA Holiday Mixer and co-chair the CAC Festival on State Street last year. I hope for your consideration in joining the board of the MBA. So I wanted to make a motion to accept, the MBA did vote to accept him on the board, and I want to make a motion for this council to accept that candidate for the MBA board.
Second. Motion is made and seconded. Quick question, what is the term? Is it
A 3-year term.
3 years. Okay, so it's for a 3-year term. All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor of appointing Brian Messick to the Media Business Authority for a 3-year term, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes.
Good selection.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you to all of those, Brian, the most recent, and all of those who want to volunteer to work with the business community to help improve it. You can contact, you can go to the Media Business Authority website, you can go to the Borough website, and you can contact our executive director, Zubair, and or Kevin, who is the president of the MBA. So all that information is out on the website. So again, thank you, and anyone else, you know of anyone else who wants to volunteer, please let us know. The next item was, let's see here. Yes, announcements from the MBA. Announcements. The MBA has replanned its budget for the remainder of the year and is beginning planning for several end-of-year events, including Jazz by Night, Santa's Arrival, various holiday activities, and the annual New Year's Eve ball drop. We just went over the appointment and works in progress. The MBA continues its run of weekly digital billboard ads, and all available weekly slots are booked through the program's end in November and will feature a variety of participating businesses and upcoming events. The Media Business Authority and the Community Arts Center are finalizing the plan. Again, thank you for accepting that for the 10th Annual Fine Arts Festival on Saturday, September 22nd. The event will repeat last year's successful street layout by positioning the artists in the middle of State Street from the trolley tracks to the other end of State Street. The MBA is also continuing to work on a project to improve the appearances of the business district by arranging for 1 to 2 cleanups per week with a focus on removing garbage and cigarette debris from the sidewalk. So again, we appreciate their cooperation on that, and we look forward to the beginning, as I understand. Did Bear or Kevin, did you want to make any comments?
Yeah, we're going to start this week, and then we're going to take it week by week to see how we keep the program rolling.
Okay, great, excellent. So again, we're happy that you're moving in that direction, and I think that's a win-win-win for everybody involved. So again, it's terrific.
Eric, would you mind repeating that for the folks at home? I don't know if they've heard that. He's not enough. Week to week.
Going one block each week.
What? I'm sorry. What do you want me to repeat?
What Kevin said.
What Kevin said.
What did Kevin say? Please, why don't you come up?
Why don't you come to the mic? Unfortunately, the folks at home cannot hear you that well if you're not on the mic.
You be back. So we're going to start this weekend and do all of State Street. The program will always do all of State Street and the surrounding sort of side streets. Week by week, we're going to figure out the best approach. We're going to use a combination of our board, volunteers, community service. So we're going to take it week by week for the different sort of participants. Again, all volunteers welcome. But we're going to start this weekend and then continue each week as we can.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Okay, just in terms of downtown, exploring ways to upgrade, this is in conjunction with IT, but and the business district, ways to improve the parking system, the parking meter system in the downtown area. So more on that as we proceed on that. From the EAC. Moment. The EAC, a couple of items here. We're trying to, and I've mentioned this before, we are in the process of getting the data to get this our energy data. We're focused on energy efficiency in borough facilities, so we are getting that data into the EPA portfolio manager. That's ongoing. And then once we have it in there, we'll be able to most likely qualify for an Energy Star rating for our buildings, and which and then we'll be actually featured on the EPA's website if we qualify for that. So I think that's exciting news for us. We also the other big item that the EAC is planning. Jeff, do we have a date on that yet for the Energy Works? Is it still in progress, it's still being, okay. But sometime in the end of October or November, we will, the EAC is hosting a community event in conjunction with Energy Works. Energy Works is a federally funded program that tries to promote energy efficiency in residential and I believe in small businesses as well can qualify for it. So they'll do energy audits at a reduced cost. So for example, I'm actually having one done within the next couple of weeks, so I'll be able to give you first-hand knowledge of it. I believe Walt Kressler, who heads the EAC, has also had it done and he's very pleased with the results. And what they will do is they'll go and do an energy audit. They'll spend, probably 4 or 5 hours in your home, look for all ways that you can save energy, and then come up with a list of items. Then you actually, through their program, can qualify for zero or very, very low interest loans if you want to engage in home improvement. So it's an excellent program. And the EAC is staging an event in the fall to publicize this. So it'll be kind of an all-day event to be held at the community center. So we're in the process of planning that, and as the details come available, we'll make that available to you. So I think it's an exciting event. I think there'll be a lot of information on all kinds of energy saving, ways to save energy and to promote sustainability in the borough. So again, I'm excited about that, and we'll have more information on that as the planning moves forward on that. And I believe that concludes my report at this time.
Are there any questions for Councilman Stein? Not hearing any, we'll move to Community Development and Media Arts Council. This is my agenda. Several items for action tonight. Most of them are of the administrative variety. The first is approval of ordinance number 1097. That's the amendment to our stormwater management ordinance. What this is really is amending our existing ordinance concerning stormwater management so that it complies with Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection requirements. If we fail to do that, we face fines. So we'd like to avoid fines. With that in mind, I move that we approve ordinance number 1097.
So moved.
Moved and seconded to adopt ordinance number 1097 for the amendment to the stormwater management ordinance. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carries, motion carries.
Something very similar in its tenor. This is authorizing the solicitor to draft and advertise amendments to the FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, floodplain ordinance. This is required by FEMA and the Pennsylvania Department of Community Development, such that and we need to modify our ordinance. Because if we don't, we get fined. And again, fining is not a good thing. So it's an administrative thing, and what we're asking is to authorize the solicitor to draft and advertise the amendment so that we do comply with the FEMA requirements. I make it in the form of motion.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded to authorize our solicitor to draft and advertise amendments to the FEMA floodplain ordinance. Are there any questions on the motion? Call the question then. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it.
All right, something different in flavor a bit. This is authorizing a motion to authorize an advertisement for request for proposals. This is for planning services for the borough's comprehensive plan. The Media Borough has the great fortune of having a significant amount of money in the form of grants. Unless I miss my guess, Mr. Smith, it's $66,500. Did I get that right, or am I close?
$73,000.
Okay, so I'm off a few. $73,000. This is money that the grant money that we can use to revise our comprehensive plan, which is our key planning document in the borough. In the past, we have used a design professional to help guide us through the process so that our comprehensive plan is as strong as it can be. And so what I'm asking tonight is that we authorize an advertisement for request for proposals so that planners can submit bids to help us with that process of devising a comprehensive plan.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to authorize an advertisement for the request for proposals for planning services for the comprehensive plan. Any questions for Council President? All those in favor say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries.
The last thing for legislative action tonight is execution of a license agreement for a Pico transformer at the Iron Hill Brewery. There is a, as I understand it, because I'm not an electrician, but I'm relying in part upon the borough engineer, and I hope I get this right, and the borough solicitor. There is a transformer that lives on a telephone pole at the back of Iron Hill. They would like to get a better transformer, a bigger transformer that does that, and put that on the ground because the pole can't take that weight. They'd like to put that on the ground next to the, or within the dumpster enclosure. So it's something that will be next to the dumpster that we will not see. For that privilege, they're willing to enter into a license agreement that pays us $1,000 a year. So I think that that's a good deal for the borough. And I move that, would be, Bob, this probably would be you, Peter?
No, it would be you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I move that for the execution of a license agreement for a Pico transformer at Iron Hill Brewery.
I would like to ask if there's any questions, but if there's none, I have a question.
I do too. I'm looking for just a little bit. It's a Pico transformer that's going to be placed inside of Iron Hill's dumpster.
That's my understanding. Am I correct? Is that correct?
Yes.
And the borough gets the $1,000.
Yes, but understand that the dumpster enclosure is in
Right.
the borough's parking lot.
Okay.
That's why we're getting.
It's everyone working together for the borough. Transformer, no one sees.
Right.
Iron Hill's happy and we're happy and Pico's happy.
So this is in the back of that parking lot?
It is.
It's not next to the dining area?
No.
Far
It's
end?
the parking lot.
Baker Street.
It's on the east
Parking lot in
side.
between.
It's in the Apollo lot. It's in the Apollo lot at the back.
Not
All right,
the
thank
other
you.
side, the other side.
Can I just ask a question too, just how the 1,000 was arrived at?
There's currently a license agreement for the outdoor dining area, which took up 5 parking spaces, and that was $5,000 a year. This is the equivalent parking space, so it's, $1,000 parking space.
Moving forward, perhaps, I might suggest that we raise that to 1,500 for the point being that the economic value of 1 meter is actually $1,500 per year, not $1,000 per year. If you look at the actual collection amount, so it probably should reflect that amount. I don't know whether you want to amend this. That's your call, but moving forward.
It's not what we proposed, they asked us what based on the they've already signed it. It makes sense, but kind of late in the game.
Okay, maybe moving forward that we, any future ones, we reflect the
Yeah,
economic value.
that's a good point.
It's something that we can find, I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any further questions? We'll then vote on the motion for the execution of this agreement for a Pico transformer at the Iron Hill Brewery. All those in favor?
Yes?
Yes.
Any opposed? Yes, Kevin.
Just a couple of announcements. As you'll hear in a few moments, so we're going to have our mid-year update for the borough's budget. And I thought that I'd give a quick update on a couple of projects of some significance borough because people want to know where things stand on a couple of these projects. First is the hotel project, which has been in process for going on 6 years now. The best estimate we have for the shovel bay is the end of this year, towards the end of this year. I can't make any exact prediction, but it looks as if we're looking at towards the end of this year. Another significant project is these are condos on East Jefferson Street and South Edgemont. It appears as if they will be ready to put a shovel in the ground at the end of this month, beginning of this coming month. So folks in the area to expect that there are going to be some changes in the traffic patterns, and there's going to be some construction equipment there. Lastly, the school, the elementary school, there are no big trucks out there yet, but there will be. Right now, as I understand it, The trusses are going out to bid, the work on the trusses is going out to bid. I think that's something we'll start seeing heavy equipment on the school property as they begin to deal with the roof. It gives you some idea of what it is that certain projects might be started in town. That concludes my report.
I'm going to ask our borough manager to help me with the figure on that. We did go out for bid, and low bid was for Higgins. Pompetti, I'm sorry. Thank you. I don't have my document here. Could you read the details?
Oh, sure, yeah. The Public Works Director secured 3 quotes as required by the law. The low is Pompetti out of Media, PA, and the total is $10,755. The other quotes were $11,330, and the last one was $11,430. The funds are budgeted in the capital fund for the work to be done, if council so desires.
So I'd like to make a motion that we authorize to accept the bid from Pompetti for $10,750 for replacement of the air conditioning unit in the community center here.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Just one question on Mark, are they all, is it in terms of the heat exchange, ETUs, is it exactly, replacement for what we have? Is it an improvement? Is it the same?
I'll defer to Jeff.
Jeff, do we have that information? Is the replacement an exact, in terms of BTUs, is it an exact size as the previous one, an improvement? Are they all the bits exactly the same in that regard?
Yes, the Public Works, my understanding is it's more an energy efficient unit.
Yeah, that's
the borough's maintenance contractor, who is J.A. Young, participated in the process. Obviously, they were not the low, but they were consulted by the Public Works Director to provide the most energy efficient possible, understanding the needs of the structure. But I can't answer, I'm sorry, the details of whether it's the exact same unit, just more efficient. I don't know the answer to that.
Are we accepting a particular bid right now, or just
yes.
Okay. Okay, well, I guess my question was whether this was the most efficient, was the efficiency balanced with the cost, because the costs are so nominal between you're talking a few $100s, but if one is significantly more efficient than another, that is going to be gobbled up probably within a year if less.
And you said this was based on input from our general contractor?
Yes.
For that?
Yes.
And there is the energy efficient model that
Yes.
was suggested. Does that satisfy the answer? I'm not an electrician.
I know. I'm
used to you, so
I'm an energy fanatic, so I understand because even a few percentage points in efficiency difference can play out over the year in fairly significant savings. So I guess I would just encourage that we balance cost with efficiency, and that we would pick. We might want to pick the highest, because if you look at if the service life of this is 5 or 10 years, the nominal difference in a few $100s would play out dramatically in that. You probably so. I'm looking at kind of a lifetime cost as opposed to an output of just the capital dollars. So,
Madam Vice President,
yes.
Is this something that, will the air conditioner make it another 30 days, Mr. Smith?
Sure. It looks like
Would
the models are all...
Dr. Stein prefer if we tabled this and...
Wait.
I'm
What were
sorry.
you going to
As I
say?
say, it looks like the models are all the same in the 3 quotes, but again, I can't answer whether they're ultra energy efficient versus energy efficient. I'm sorry, I don't have that ability. As I said, it was a recommendation of the borough's HVAC contractor, so I can't answer anything.
Whose bid is not the one we're voting on, but he consulted.
Correct.
What are you
just for
requesting? What are you requesting to do?
And I'm not trying to derail us
No, I'm
here.
just asking. Let's just, go to this. What are you asking?
I guess to make a legitimate decision, if the energy efficiency is the same with the 3 items, is that correct, Mr. Smith?
That's correct.
They're all rated the same.
That's
Same
correct.
machine.
Then the distinguishing factor would be the initial cost. It begs the question of whether we have the most efficient one overall, but if this is what we got, we work with it. I would just suggest that in the future, we look at lifetime cost as opposed to just the initial outlay.
Okay.
All right. Any other discussion or motion?
Next time it should be done workshop, not the legislative process.
Don't disagree.
Thank you.
All right, there's been a motion, and I believe it has been seconded.
Yes, it has.
I have to go back to my long-term memory on that. All those in favor of accepting the proposal from Pompetti for the replacement HVAC unit for the community center, please say aye.
Yes. Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes.
All right, thank you. We'll make sure and make notations about the next electronic purchase. I would like to make a couple of announcements. The farmer's market, full swing today. I could not believe the variety of things that were available, from heirloom tomatoes to every kind of conceivable size, shape, and color eggplants. During your gumbo, they've got fresh okra. It was just wonderful. Lots of things really at their prime. Every Thursday from 3 to 7 at the parking lot at Galion State. I'd also like to thank the representatives from the Fair Trade Committee for coming this evening. And I would like to do a kudos. I'm not sure if you had seen this in the education section. We had proudly at the what was the French Revolution about? Bastille Day. Thank you. Sorry. If it said St. Patrick's, I would have remembered that one. Anyway, Penn State Brandywine was announced and welcomed as a regional fair trade award that evening. It was just 2 months before that they were declared a fair trade university. It was a student-led campaign. The campus was honored with the Regional Fair Trade Award by Media Fair Trade Town Committee. And as we all know, Borough was the first fair trade town in North America. It's quite a nice article. The designation for the university means that the campus is dedicated to raising awareness of the movement, embedding its principles within administrative policy and the social fabric of the academic community. And specifically, it means the campus sells or uses a number of products with the fair trade seal, indicating they are made by workers who are paid a living wage, treated with dignity, and work in safe, comfortable conditions according to a document created by the students. They have their own notation, and they're known around campus as the Fair Trade Trailblazers. So it's a really nice article, and we want to congratulate them on making the effort to join the local movement. So I want to thank Media's Fair Trade Committee for being a point of mentorship for these folks. That concludes my report.
Are there any questions for Vice President Simpson? Hearing none, we'll move to Councilman Monroe, Recreation and Shade Tree.
Thank you. Shade Tree has nothing to report as of yet. They reconvened in September. They've been off for the summer, so they will reconvene in September. We will have a report thereafter. The mayor announced the exciting activities with the rec committee on the tennis camp, so we invite you all to continue to look to the rec committee for that and other wonderful events. I think they're going to have some neat new activities coming up for the fall, so we strongly suggest you take a look and enjoy what you can. I have one item for legislative tonight. It is the authorization of an advertisement for an RFP for the Halman Park repairs and planning services. We were fortunate through the hard work of borough staff and specifically Karen Tosick-Lux to receive a grant to work on Halman Park and do some much needed repairs. And this authorized advertisement this evening will allow us to send out an RFP to get a contractor to start that work. And I make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
So been a motion and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All right, then I'll call the question. All those in favor of authorizing advertisement for the request for proposals concerning group park planning services, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes.
And that concludes my report.
Are there any questions for Councilwoman Monroe? All right. Let's proceed from right to left. Councilman Davidson, Finance, Personnel, and Library.
Thank you, President Hall. The first item on my agenda tonight is payment of bills for July. Finance Committee met the 14th this month and is recommending the payment of all bills for the month of July in the amounts of $246,407.01 from the general fund, $12,036.32 from the recreation fund, no dollars from the liquid fuel fund, and $4,838.38 from the capital fund, for a grand total of $263,281.71 in bills for July. And so moved.
So the second on the motion.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion?
I just have a couple of questions that haven't been asked in a while. Any bills for the CMAC project or the 3rd Street Bridge?
I was going to.
You know, I just, you have to honor
This is
the
for
man.
old time's sake.
For old time's sake. Well, I'm curious. Do we have
Every
any
6
bills?
months.
Every 6 months. It's our mid-year record.
There you go.
Okay.
$298 on the CMAC project and $1,881.90 on the 3rd Street Bridge project.
Do we have enough money in the account for this?
Yes.
We're really pressing this, aren't
I'm trying to give myself something to do today. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? All right, I will call the question. All those in favor of payment of the borough's bills for the month of July from the general fund to the recreation fund and the capital fund, please say aye.
Aye.
Yes. Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes.
Thank you very much. The next item on my agenda is the mid-year budget update, and I will hand this over to our esteemed treasurer, Peter Williams.
Thank you very much, Mr. Davidson. The borough budget every year contains hundreds of line items. And while the budget is tracking very well this year, thanks to the diligence of our fine borough staff, just as a sidebar, we're at about 3% ahead of revenue projections for the year and 11% behind in expenses. So we're a full 14% ahead where we should be. So that's fine. But inevitably, in the course of a year, the hundreds of line items get a little bit out of whack, and there's a set process that the borough has followed for probably decades, where at the middle of the year they look at all those items, specifically our bookkeeper and our borough manager, and make small adjustments. And because of the importance of the budget, any of those changes have to be passed as a resolution by the borough council. They all have this in front of them. They've had it for a while. I'm not going to be making the motion. That would be Mr. Davidson. But if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.
Does anyone have any questions for our treasurer, Mr. Williamson?
No, other than to applaud them for taking the time, effort to, move the nickel from here to another item, from one item A to line B and all like that. It's a lot of work. It's important because at the end of the year, as the treasurer stated, many dollars that we anticipate won't be used in one area, in other areas that well exceed what we anticipate, and we just try to organize those better. And I do appreciate treasurer's time and effort and the borough manager and staff's time and effort.
I'm in awe of the borough staff's ability to find line items in the budget. They can do it in nanoseconds, and it takes them quite a while.
Well put, Mr. Treasurer.
Any other questions for the treasurer? Mr. Davidson?
So that said, I therefore move that we adopt the mid-year budget update as the packet last month.
Second.
Is there any call for discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of adopting resolution 2012-08, mid-year budget update, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes.
My third item for finance, we have a contractor which collects our taxes, and from time to time we think it necessary to put out the bid and see if we can get a better deal from those who do collect our taxes in terms of what piece they take of those. So therefore, I would like to advertise an RFP for tax collection services for Media Borough. I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Second?
The motion has been seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. President, I'd ask that Mr. Davis consider amending the request for a proposal to reflect taxes that are outside of the Act 32 due to the fact that they are a countywide, controlled by the county tax collection agency.
Absolutely.
I believe we're looking at traditionally Act 511. And I apologize for interrupting, but I did it for a couple of years.
Yeah,
So Act 511.
To clarify, this would be an RFP for tax collection services for local service tax, mercantile and business privilege tax, because the EIT is collected not by the borough but by the county tax collection.
Will the maker of the motion accept those
I would
clarifications?
accept those changes and to make revise my motion as stated by the solicitor.
And is there a second on that, Rick?
Second.
There we go. Any further call for question? Hearing none, all those in favor of authorizing advertising for a request for proposal concerning tax collection services for local services taxes, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes.
The final item on my agenda for legislative action tonight is a personnel matter. Due to the sensitive nature of personnel matters, I'm going to just simply state that I will make a motion to enter into the previously distributed settlement agreement with Stephanie Harmer related to workers' compensation.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of ratifying the settlement agreement, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes.
Thank you. Finally, she'll bring up essentially news from the library. Again, I'll just remind residents that the library is working diligently and very hard on the refresh project. It's about a $2.5 million project. They have approached Media Borough as well as Upper Providence for assistance in funding with that, but obviously a large portion of those funds will come from some grants, but also from residents. So I would recommend to all residents, when the messages come in the mail or over the phone, request for funding for the library, I hope that all of us who appreciate what the library does and creates a community center for both learning, for digital reading, for also just providing opportunities for those looking for work, to think about that and dig deep within your pockets and contribute to the library. You can visit the library's website, mediauplibrary.org, and obviously this project I am standing very firmly behind is something which will benefit both the town as well as the business community in Media, as well as all the residents for both Media and Upper Providence. So that's all I have to say. That concludes my report.
Any questions for Councilman Davidson? I agree. Library is glued to our community. All right, so I think we're going backwards. I'm just not used to going backwards here. We're at public comment and privilege of the floor. Anyone wish to come forward at this time and address council? All right, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
Just one thing I just want to bring up, and actually seeing the newspaper made me think about it. The mayor and I have been talking, and sometime in early fall, we are working on trying to put together another parade. And I think this one is really important because I'm sure you've all read or seen, and we all should be very proud that our 10-year-old Media Little League All-Star team are Pennsylvania state champions, moving forward in the pursuit to Williamsport. And also at the same year, our 15-year-old Babe Ruth team are also state champions. So Media has without a doubt made the map in the year 2012 with regards to youth baseball. I think it's very nice to be able to report that instead of our youth getting in trouble, that our youth are out winning state championships. It does not take much for the mayor of this fine town to have a parade. And you add baseball, kids, and championships all in the same sentence, and I'm quite confident that we're going to have a very fun, enjoyable parade. We are recognizing that it is the summertime. We're going to wait until the kids get back into school, and we'll provide further information probably in the month of September.
I'll second that.
All righty. Anyone else who wishes to make an announcement at this time? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
So adjourned.
Good.